What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Randy here with RTS Mobile Gaming, bringing you an absolutely awesome video today. We are playing Lord of the Rings Rise to War, and we are doing a Season 2 second look at the Shadow. This is a fantastic performance from my massively geared out and leveled up Shadow. He is Respect Level 5, ready to rock and roll. So let's get right into it. We're going to talk about how much stronger the Shadow is after he recently received 2 buffs, okay? So here we go. All right. Here we go. Into the Shadow build. The Shadow is fantastic. The point of this build has been to buff both the Shadow's damage output and his synergy with the Evil Men units. He synergizes extremely well with the Evil Men units, especially the Corsairs, because he has this fantastic Ring Wraith ability, which gives bonus damage to the focus, poison, and burn damage received by the enemies, okay? So that is going to affect the Corsairs' damage output since they deal burn damage through arson, alright? In addition to that, the Halberdiers are also very strong units with a nice tight damage range there. They're going to benefit from the Evil Men damage items. So, keep that in mind as we review these items on my Shadow. Shadow's running the Carver. This is going to give me fantastic +3 attack to my Evil Men, as well as fantastic might and focus to the Shadow, and a nice little smite punch to the face every now and then as well, okay? We have the Scale Mail, which is going to be a great collection of might, focus, and army defense. We are going to have the Bone Mask, which is going to be some more might and focus, you guessed it, as well as some HP for my infantry units. Since the bulk of my army is infantry, I'm going to really abuse this +3 HP with my 100-unit command. And then Hysteria, of course, is going to be an amazing buff to have as the Shadow. It's going to complement my skills. It basically means in round 1, if you're not stunned, you're maddened. If you have stun immunity, you're maddened. If you're maddened immunity, you're stunned. If you have the helmet that gives you immunity to both, I'm screwed. And on to the accessory. Here we go. The Bone Talisman is fantastic with a bunch more might and focus, as well as some speed and damage bonus to my Evil Men. So my Evil Men will have +3 attack and an additional 7.4 increased damage dealt, okay? Shadow's stats here are both over 300, very strong. Unit-wise, as I said, I'm running Halberdiers, which are nice. I'm running Corsairs, which are nicer. And I'm running some Cataphracts to do some tanky-tanky. I could see replacing these with the Dwarven Footman Guardian there. That way they could benefit from the plus HP, but it's not a big deal. Skill-wise, I have the Respect 0 Undertaker 15 out of 15 for the splash damage and the poison damage. This skill was one of the skills that was fixed. This was one of the 2 things that were fixed, okay? And actually, both skills that were fixed were within the Undertaker title tree. The other one was Delayed Plague. However, I am not a fan of Delayed Plague. It doesn't deal any damage until round 6, and it only strikes in round 6. I'm going to go with early fight damage, as I always do with all my commanders, okay? Plague here is going to be an anti-heal in round 3 for the next 2 rounds. Very strong. I've got 15 out of 15 of Ring Wraith for the plus burn damage and poison damage and focus damage. I then have 3 points in Morgul Poison, which will deal 60% damage split over 2 rounds. This is stronger than the Black Numenorian. The Black Numenorian will deal its damage, its 30% damage the round that it hits. Morgul Poison deals more damage than the Black Numenorian. So if you're debating which one to put your points in, put it in the poison. Pick your poison, get it? That's pretty good. Nazgul Screech is going to give you a guaranteed stun plus a nice damage nuke against 2 targets. Very strong. And then Shape of the Void is, of course, one of the main points of this build. It's going to give you a double strike with the Shadow in the first 4 rounds, really to abuse the hell out of the Undertaker ability, which does splash. Okay? You may be asking, well, Randy, why didn't you go into the other Respect 5 talents, which would increase the damage from both the Shadow and my Corsairs by 15%? And the reason is because I did a lot of testing and I determined that this was the highest damage output, okay? Alright. As far as actual commander damage dealt, Okay, we've got the Shadow with 160k damage. We got Lurtz with 137k damage. I out DPS'd Lurtz. Very happy to see that there. My soldiers did almost as much damage as my Shadow because, like I said, the evil men get enormous bonuses from this particular build, especially the Corsairs. So let's see how that played out. Boom. Boom, boom, boom. The Halberdiers did about 61,000 damage. The Corsairs did about 83,000 damage, which makes a lot of sense when you factor in the Ring Wraith that gives them plus 30% damage, as well as the fact that they're dealing burn damage, okay? Where my Halberdiers benefited greatly is the fact that the enemy here has two types of cavalry. So anytime my Halberdiers punch the cavalry, they're gaining a 40% damage bonus to the cavalry, okay? So they will, which is why they were able to compete with the Corsairs. If you're not fighting against cavalry, you probably want to use closer to 1,500 Halberdiers and more Corsairs, all right? Into the actual line-by-line report, we'll look at rounds probably 1 and 2, just because Shadow does pretty much the equal damage on rounds 1 through 4. He does splash damage on all targets on the field with double strikes. Okay, so here's Alerts coming in with about 23,000 damage output with his initial volley. I have the Shadow coming in hot. I've activated Hysteria on the Bjornings. That is my helmet. I'm now punching him for about 12,700 damage times 2. So I'm about 25,400 damage. I have now done about 10% higher damage than Lurtz with my Shadow in round 1, okay? Then I have a Morgul Poison Tick for 2,400 there. Very nice. All right, so I've now done about 25% more damage than Lurtz in round 1, okay? Here are the Corsairs coming in super hot and punching the enemies in the face for 11,000. Here's the Bjornings on my side for this round, punching for 5,000. Here's the Halberdiers punching the Bjornings for 8,500. Okay, so good damage output from both of these units. Low damage roll from the Corsairs, but good overall damage. Here comes the Shadow with another 25,000 damage plus or minus from his auto attacks. Okay, so that's 50,000 damage in rounds 1 and 2 with the auto attacks. 50,000 combined. I have a Smite proc. Here's the Nazgul Screech proc. Here's a Morgul Poison proc. Now I'm up at, I must be up at like 30, let's see, 25 to the 31, 35. I'm somewhere around 34 to 35,000 damage output in round 2 with the Nazgul Screech and the Smite. Actually, I'm actually at 35,000. 35,000 damage in round 2, 25,000 damage in round 1. I like to see it. Okay. Here's the Corsairs with a 12k hit. Here's the Halberdiers punching the Bjornings again. Very nice there. The Ram Riders are dead. Oh, wow. Here's more damage. I skipped that. So I'm at probably close to 42,000 damage in round 2. So round 1, 25,000 damage. Round 2, round 1, 27,000 damage. I can't do math today because I had a Morgul Poison Tick. And then in round 2, close to 50, let's just call it 52,000. Okay, call it 52,000 damage in round 2. Here's Lurtz's damage output in round 3. His damage is significantly reduced because his units are significantly reduced. His Bjornings are almost dead. His Ram Riders are almost dead. His Cataphracts are almost dead, okay? A lot of dead troops here going into round 3. So now my damage will be slightly reduced. Here is the Plague ability for the anti-heal. Okay, I'm still hitting pretty strong there, but only 2 targets instead of 3 in round 3. There's the Poison Tick. Very nice. So, okay, I mean, look, that's the fight, ladies and gentlemen. Halberdiers consistently punching the Bjornings in the face. The Corsairs potentially consistently killing everything on the field. And fairly decent damage output from the Shadow. We can safely call that somewhere around 75 to 80,000 damage output from Shadow just in the first 2 rounds. That's pretty successful in my book, okay? Lurtz was not able to compete, unfortunately. He does have, his gear obviously is not quite on par with mine, but his gear is still decent. His skills are well built. He's got the Respect 0 tree Pursuer maxed out. He's got the Respect 3 tree Uruk-hai Firstborn maxed out with his extra points in Uruk-hai Elite, so the build is fantastic. Unit-wise, he's got a fantastic unit build, some very tanky units between the Cataphracts and the Bjornings, and then, of course, the Ram Riders gave a fantastic minus defense debuff to my units while they were alive, all right? So, that's the fight. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm going to end this here. That's 10 minutes in. I had a few other fights. Whatever. I'll just show a few reports real quick. I had a few other fights with the Shadow. Some of them didn't go quite as well. This is one where I was fighting against an enemy Mouth of Sauron who happened to have the anti-commander damage build. In case you're curious what that looks like, my units did similar damage over the 10 rounds that they were alive. My commander damage was cut in half, okay? Do I have any more reports in this chat? I don't know if I have any more reports in this chat for shadow damage. Do I? Oh, here's a shadow. Here's a shadow against a, this is shadow from the live stream. Here's the live stream build against Rob's Gorebag. Similar performance from the shadow, 141k damage. Keep in mind, Gorebag does reduce the damage his orcs take by 29%. So very strong damage mitigation there. I think that's why I performed closer to the 140 instead of the 160 range. But consistent damage output from the Shadow, fairly decent damage. Upsettingly didn't win against the Gorebag. But he's got a pretty decked out Gorebag here. Very geared out and high skilled, high respect level Gorebag. So shout out to Rob, one of my favorite folks over at the Run faction, okay? That's the video. Like and sub if this helped you out. If you enjoyed the second look at the Shadow. We'll do some more amazing videos coming up over the next couple days, so get excited for that. Randy out.